Hello, reborn mummies and daddies. It's Misty. As you can tell by the title of the video, this is not really going to be a reborn related video. I do have the girls with me. I have this little Miss Atlantis on one side, and then I have little Miss Emery on the other, and they both have matching dresses on. I'm actually going to let you guys focus on the flowers. Before I get into this video, I want to apologize if you guys hear me get upset and start crying. I've tried recording this video 3 or 4 times already, and every time I start recording it, I start bawling and can't stop, so I have to shut the video off. So I'm going to try my hardest not to cry and get through this video as fast as I can. As you can see by the title of the video, my baby girl, Belle, has died. She passed away on Monday at 2:25 in my arms. She was poisoned. And everybody knows, you could see it in the video, Belle went with me everywhere. Belle was my baby. I do apologize. Susu. I'm actually house/pet sitting for the lady that I babysit for the foster kids. And her house, where I'm at now, is actually the place that Belle got poisoned at. She has 4 dogs of her own. You can see one of them right there. That's Susu. Susu is blind and deaf. And she's got Callie. Calico. There's Callie. And then over here on the couch, she's got Mia. Mimi. And then in the other room, she's got one named Beeb. And she has 2 cats upstairs. She is out of town until Saturday, so I'm staying and watching the dogs, which I don't really know how I feel about it. Especially being because this is the place that Belle got poisoned at, and it's kind of hard coming over here without Belle, because for the last, it was like year and a half, every time that I've come over here, I've had Belle with me, and this is the first time I've come over that I don't have her. So I'm going to tell you guys what happened, or what I think happened. And if you don't want to see this video, just go ahead and click off of it, because it's not reborn related. On Sunday morning, I came over to babysit, and Belle was fine. She was acting like her normal goofy self and running around acting like she owned the place, that she was the biggest one of them all and everything like that. Wouldn't know that there was a thing in the world wrong with her. And I think at that point there wasn't. I don't think she had got poisoned yet. But I would let all the dogs outside. They all went out at the same time. And about 10 minutes later, they came back in, because it's 80, 90 degrees here in Virginia. So they weren't outside for long. And so when the lady came back from what she was doing, she actually gave me a ride home. And we got back to my house. And I noticed that Belle, that her head and her stomach were really warm, but the rest of her body was cool. I thought that was a little strange. But I thought maybe she had maybe she had a flu or a bug or something to that effect, or that she had come over here and she had eaten some of the dog's food and went outside and the heat didn't agree with her. Because when we got back to the house, she threw up. It's like this off yellow color, but it had chunks in it. It almost looked like hot dog. And she did drink a little bit, but I tried to give her treats and she wouldn't eat them, which is definitely not like Belle. Belle will eat treats like crazy. She thinks they're candy. And so I thought, well, maybe it was just because she was afraid that the heat was going to upset her stomach some more. So I tried to give her cheese. And Belle absolutely loves cheese. And she wouldn't even eat the cheese. So I thought, maybe she had just a stomach ache or something to that effect. So I got her to drink some more water that night. And we had went to bed. And Belle sleeps under the covers with me, right beside me. And the room that we stay in has no air conditioner. So we have the window open at night so that it tries to cool the room down just a little bit, because I share a room with my mom and my stepdad. So usually during the night, if she gets hot, she'll get up and she'll walk to the end of the bed where it's closer to the window. It'll cool her down some. Or she'll go up on the pillow where near the fan that I have. So usually she's never under the covers in the morning when I wake up. Well, she was laying under the covers that night, and when I woke up the next morning, she was still laying in the exact same spot, the same way I had laid her that night. She hadn't moved even a teeny tiny bit. And I thought, okay, well, maybe she didn't get hot, so she just laid there that night. And I went to pick her up. Well, she's laying flat on the bed, so when I go to pick her up, I scoop under her side towards her belly to pick her up that way. And I hadn't even picked her up. I had just had my hand under her, and she started crying, major crying, like something was really hurting her. So I thought that was really strange. I knew something was up by then. So I finally picked her up, and I put her down on the floor because beside the bed, she has her food water bowl and a blanket. So I put her on the floor, and I put the water bowl in front of her, and she drank a ton of water. Which I thought, well, that's really good. She needs to drink water and get something in her system. So after she drank the water, she got ready to walk over to the blanket, which was like, where my finger is, it's like from start here to here. It's literally maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches away. And she took one step and flopped over. And I don't just mean she lost her balance. I mean, she took one step and she went limp. Flopped over, couldn't move, couldn't do anything. And so I picked her up again, stood her up, and tried to get her to walk to the blanket again. Well, she did the exact same thing, except this time she couldn't even take a step. She just flopped over. So I picked her up and I laid her on the blanket. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry, guys, I had to sneeze and I didn't think you wanted to hear it. So she's laying on the blanket, and I noticed now that her whole body is cool. Not freezing cold, but cool. And it was almost 90 this day, on Monday. So she shouldn't have been that cold. And so I thought, okay, well, something is up. I knew something was wrong, which I had suspected it, but that confirmed it. So I get on the phone, and I'm calling vets around me and saying, This is what's going on. Do you take payment plans? Can I bring her in and pay later? Yada, yada, yada. And everyone that I called, no, 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 no. We don't take payment plans. You have to pay in full. Well, I don't have a job right now. So, unfortunately, I don't have the money. So, I was finally able to talk to someone. And I think she worked at Petco or PetSmart. And they've got this little hospital in it. And she said if you go to their website, you can print off a coupon for new customers, new clients, whatever you would call it, for a free consultation and exam. So she said the only appointment we have today is 4 o'clock. I said, okay. So we scheduled the appointment for 4 o'clock. And by this time, it probably wasn't even noon yet. And I was told, she told me, she's like, pick her up and try to get some water. Take a medicine dropper, force it down her throat, but get some water in her. I said, okay. Well, I was sitting over at the desk and she was on the blanket behind me. And I went over and I went to pick her up to put the water, to get her to drink some water. And I noticed that she had thrown it up again, but it was this real ugly grayish brown color. And when she threw up, she didn't move. She was laying in it. So when I went to pick her up, she was completely limp. She couldn't move. She couldn't walk. She couldn't stand. She couldn't do anything. She was a spaghetti noodle. She couldn't move. So I knew she was dying right then and there. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew she was. So as I'm picking her up, she pees and she poops on me. And that right there told me that she couldn't control her bowels anymore. So I knew she was close to death. So I have to take my finger and put it in her mouth to be able to put the medicine dropper in her mouth and get her to try and drink some water. She did drink some water, but most of it was just coming out of the sides of her mouth. She wasn't drinking it. She wasn't swallowing it. It was just there. So I'm holding her and loving on her and telling her how much I love her and how good she is, and that if she's ready to go, then she can go. And I guess it was around 2:15, I think, 2:20. She had what I guess is a seizure. She's never had one before. I'm guessing it was a seizure. And then she just completely went stiff. And when I looked at the clock, she had taken her last breath at 2:25 on Monday. So a friend of mine who actually had a Chihuahua that looked almost identical to Belle, and her dog's name was Belle. Her dog died last year around the same time. So it was also hard on her. So she finally arrives about 5 minutes later at my house, and we get in her car and race up to the vet's office just in case there's a tiny glimmer of hope. Which I knew there wasn't, because I knew that she was gone. I knew she was. She wasn't breathing. I could feel her chest, and I didn't feel any heartbeat or anything like that. So we get in her car, and I'm wearing no shoes. I have a dress on that is sleeveless. I usually will never go out of the house with a sleeveless shirt or dress on or whatever, because I don't like my arms showing. So We race up to the vet's office, and I go in, and the lady behind the counter, she's on the phone with somebody, and I go up to the counter, and she's like, "Can I help you?" And I tearfully said, "I think she's gone, but can you check and make sure and confirm it?" She says yes. So she goes back and gets I can't think of the word, the one that you listen to somebody's heart with. I want to say telescope, but I know that's not what it is. Um, she goes back and gets it, and she comes out to try to listen for Belle's heartbeat. And by then, the vet had come out, and she had told him what was going on, and he took over, and he's like, let me try. Let me see." So he took it, and he put it on, and he went to listen, and he confirmed it. He's like, "I'm sorry, she is gone." Well, both me and my friend just lost it. We're both big animal lovers, and it hit us both really, really hard. So we sat in the vet's office for probably 2 hours, in and outside. 2 hours, just holding her and loving on her and petting her, telling her what a good dog she is and how much we're going to miss her. And I'm trying to get on the phone with my mom, let her know what's going on, so she can tell my brothers what's going on. And then I call the lady that rents this house that I babysit for, and I let her know. Well, I couldn't even talk to her. My friend had to talk to her and tell her what was going on, and let her know that Belle had passed, and just to make sure that her dogs were okay, to watch her dogs, something to that effect, so that she knew what was going on and that she needed to watch them. So we got off the phone with her. Well, by then my mom and my brothers had arrived, and my youngest brother James, he got out of the car, and he was already in tears. It looked like he had been crying for an hour. He was already in tears. So they both came over and held her and loved on her and kissed her and told her bye. So my friend had went up and talked to the lady up at the front about how much it would be to have Belle cremated. And they informed her that it was going to be $179. And that I was going to have to leave Belle there. And I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I just couldn't let her go. I've had Belle since she was 5 weeks old. She would have been 7 in June. So I'd had her all her life and knew that I couldn't just leave her there. So I ended up taking her back home with me and spent a little more time with her. And this part's gross, so you may want to click off of the video if you don't want to hear it. But unfortunately, because I don't have a job and I am not able to have her cremated at this time, I had to wrap her up in a couple towels and put her in the freezer until I'm able to afford to get her cremated. If you guys would like to help, I have like a GoFundMe thing on my Facebook, It's not exactly GoFundMe, but it's like GoFundMe. You just have to Google or Facebook and find my name, which is just Misty Sealock. Um, I found one, somebody that'll do it, but the whole thing would take about $120. Um, Even if you can't donate, if you just share, that would be so much help. Just sharing and sharing and sharing and getting it out there so that I could possibly have somebody help me. The sad truth is, I just can't afford it right now. But that's the plan for right now, is to have her cremated. And I'm going to get a little necklace to put some of her ashes in to keep with me forever. And yeah. I believe she was poisoned. There was a guy walking around the neighborhood, and he looked a little sketchy to me, but I tried not to judge people. And he was just kind of walking in between some of the houses, and the one that I was babysitting in was just happened to be one of the ones that he was beside. And I think what happened was he threw pieces of hot dog and they had something in the hot dogs, and Belle got into them, and that's how she got poisoned. That's the only thing I can think of, because there was nothing else outside. She has been outside so many times before, and nothing has happened to her. And this time, I think she was the one that got most of the hot dog. I'm going to say it's a hot dog because I'm sorry for all the banging on my phone. Like I said, I just assume it's a hot dog because when she threw up Sunday night, it truly looked like there was chunks, and it looked like it was hot dogs. And I think that's what happened. Um, when I was at the vet's office and I was telling him what was going on, he says that he thinks she died of a heart condition. Belle has never had a problem in her life. She was perfectly healthy. Um, she had never had any seizures, nothing. She hadn't even had a cold in many years, so she was healthy. And I can't have I think it's called like a necropsy. It's basically an autopsy for dogs or animals, I guess, because unfortunately it costs thousands of dollars to have that done. I'm sorry, that is ridiculous. To have to spend thousands of dollars to see why your animal died, I'm sorry, I just think that's ridiculous. I would love, absolutely love, to know what happened to her, for sure. But unless I win the lottery between now and the next couple of weeks, I won't be able to do that. And I'm sorry, I just think it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and get off here because this video is almost 25 minutes long. Definitely did not expect it to be that long. So all I'm going to say is, please check your dogs. Please check your animals. Take them to the vet. Make sure they're healthy. Make sure there's nothing wrong with them. And just watch them outside, because there are idiots out. I mean, what kind of person would poison a dog that small? And she's never mean to anybody. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I'm starting to get upset again, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here because I don't like to cry in front of people. I don't like people to hear me to cry and get upset. So, anyway, thank you for watching the video. Like I said, if you can donate, that would be amazing. But if you can't donate, if you just share the video, that would be absolutely amazing too. Hopefully the next video that I make will be a much happier video. And hopefully it'll be reborn related. Yeah, so I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.